My name is Mara Jensen, and my mother told me to leave in the middle of holiday lunch. And a warning. No argument, just a cold command delivered between clinking forks and practiced smiles, like it was part of the menu. 1 second, I was passing the rolls down the table. The next, my mother, Diane, leaned slightly toward me and said, "Stop leaning on this family. Go." The words weren't loud. They didn't need to be. The room froze anyway. My father, Gordon, studied his plate as if the answer might be hiding in the gravy. My older brother, Luke, stared at his phone, suddenly fascinated by a dead screen. Evan, my younger brother, smirked into his wine glass like he'd just heard a joke that finally landed. I didn't move at first. The chandelier above us cast the same warm glow it always had, the kind that used to make me feel safe when I was a kid, back when I thought light meant protection. From the street, our house performs tradition: perfectly glazed ham, straight wreath, laughter that sounds real if you don't listen too closely. Inside, you learn what every silence actually means. I'm Mara Jensen. I'm 42 years old. And for years, I've been the quiet solution. Luke's legal trouble when he just needed time. Evan's son's tuition when scholarships fell through. My parents' utilities when retirement didn't stretch as far as they expected. I paid. I always paid. Because I thought if I showed up enough, if I filled enough gaps, I'd earn a permanent seat at that table. Diane used to say, "Strong women carry the family." She never taught my brothers to lift. She taught them to pass the weight to me. So when she accused me of relying on them, nothing snapped. It clicked. Clean, brutal, like a log finally turning. I stood slowly, draped my coat over my arm, and met her eyes. "I'm going home." No one defended me. No one followed. Not even my father. Outside, the cold hit my face like clean water. I drove back to the city without looking in the mirror. I was afraid I'd see myself begging. My hands stayed steady on the wheel, steadier than they'd ever been. When I reached my apartment, I shut the door, leaned my forehead against it for one breath, then set my laptop on the table and opened it. The quiet felt different there. Not lonely. Instructional. I opened the ledger. My parents' electric and water bills. Luke's temporary payment plan that had lasted 3 years. Evan's monthly school transfer automatically scheduled. Line after line. Neat and obedient. The totals didn't read like love anymore. They read like leverage. I turned off autopay. One by one, accounts I'd funded for years blinked out. Utilities, payment plans, support that had quietly become expectation. Then Pine Hollow, the cabin they called the family place. The place where I paid the propane and internet and was always told it was too crowded when I asked to join them. Cancel. Confirm. Done. Each email receipt felt like a breath. I hadn't realized I was holding in an old folder. I found the cabin transfer paperwork Diane had insisted I arrange years ago. My attorney had insisted on a reversion clause. I'd agreed just to keep the peace. Now the clause sat there, plain and blunt. If the agreement is contested, ownership reverts automatically. 3 days later, Evan called. "What did you do?" He snapped. "The cabin's freezing. Caleb's weekend is ruined." "I stopped paying for things I don't use," I said. He dressed his anger up in words like loyalty and sacrifice. I let him talk until he ran out of air, then said, "Mom told me to stop leaning on the family." I hung up. 2 days after that, a heavy envelope hit my mailbox. Law office letterhead. Diane's name. A petition full of words like distress and misunderstanding. She wanted the cabin back. I called my lawyer. He skimmed it, then said almost kindly, "They just triggered the clause. Pine Hollow is yours again." Effective immediately. I chose a diner near our old neighborhood public. Bright enough to keep everyone polite. I arrived early, slid into a back booth, set a folder on the table, and watched a door. They arrived together, a practiced front. Diane first, chin high. Gordon behind her, shoulders rounded. Luke pale as linoleum. Evan last, restless knee and swagger. I didn't stand. Diane's voice was sweet enough to sting. "Mara, this has gone far enough. You've made your point." "I didn't file anything," I said calmly. "You did." Her smile twitched. We were forced. The cabin is mine again. I cut in, steady as glass. The moment you contested the transfer, the reversion clause activated. You triggered it. Gordon's eyes lifted, watery and stunned. Luke swallowed. Evan scoffed, but the sound wobbled. I slid the next pages across the sticky tabletop. Years of payments, neatly totaled. Utilities, tuition, lawyers, repairs. The overhead lights flashed on the ink like small blades. Luke stared. You paid all this? Yes, I said, because I thought being useful was the same as being loved. Diane pushed the papers back with 2 fingers. Families help each other. Then help each other, I said. Without me. Evan leaned forward. So you're cutting us off? I'm setting myself down, I answered. There's a difference. I stood, smoothed my coat, and placed my keyring on the table. Pine Hollow's brass key caught the light. I won't fund a life where I'm treated like an ATM with feelings. Gordon whispered my name, but it sounded like habit. I walked out into the brittle afternoon, the bell above the door chiming. Once, for the first time, the weight left my shoulders in one clean, final drop. That night, I slept without bracing for a phone call.